The Organically Blunt Show, the podcast that dives deep into the world of cannabis with real, informative conversations. Whether you're a seasoned smoker or just curious, light up and join the conversation. Let's get organically blunt. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Organically Blunt. I am Jay Blaze, your host. And this evening, I have the opportunity and the pleasure to speak with a true green grease monkey, a gentleman who builds and restores in a retro way classic Porsches. And Andy loves doing cannabis and being a caregiver all in one. So welcome to the show, Adam. And I appreciate you coming on. So how are you this evening?
It's my pleasure, man.
Definitely. So we do have the numerics wrong on the video for everybody out there. He has been a caregiver for a lot longer than 16 years, and that was my mistake.
Technically, I'm not exactly a caregiver. I don't want to take anything away from the true caregivers in Michigan, you know.
Okay.
But I've definitely been passionate about helping people get their medicine for probably 25 years, I would say.
That's impressive, man. Definitely. Yeah.
Pretty well in my blood.
Definitely. You know, I want to dig right into Hashbash. You know, you got to go to Hashbash. It was a first time experience for you. And I kind of want to give what we call definitely, beautiful work. T-Dog does amazing art. You know, he wouldn't even. I kept bugging him, and so did a bunch of other people. He would not release that until Adam and them from Hashbash actually said, "Okay, we're going to put it out." You know, it was kept under hush the whole time, and I imagine it wasn't easy for any of them. You know, definitely. You know, because it turned out amazing. But the question I haven't had a chance to attend myself yet, but you being that you got to do it the first time and experience it, what was it like? I mean, kind of walk us through, you know, you getting down there to you getting the partying going, to kind of walk us through how your night went and up until the event, and then how the event went for you.
Okay, so I'll start you from the beginning. So my little brother, he's like in his early 20s, and him and I went together. It's about like 3-hour drive for us to get there. And we got there early, like 9 in the morning. And I had booked an Airbnb because I didn't want to have to be responsible for driving home in the middle of the night after having a good day. So we met up there. We actually met with a grower from Detroit at like 9:30 in the morning, and he had a gift for me. So the day started off very well. Like before we even made it to any stores, or we had ordered the treasure. I ordered the treasure maps online just in time, and we had to wait till 10 a.m. to hit Arborside and get our treasure maps. So like the timing worked out perfect. We got there to town the same time as this grower who I met at a golf outing actually last year at one of Rick Ansis golf outings, and been communicating with the guy and supporting as much as I can. You know, he brought me a gift, which is what I'm smoking tonight, actually.
That is awesome.
It's phenomenal. Definitely. So it set me off on the right path where I really didn't need anything all day. So I just was enjoying the treasure map. So we went on the treasure hunt, and that just went perfect. Like everywhere we went, we got a parking spot. It wasn't crazy. There wasn't any crazy lines. Everybody had amazing treats for us, and like it was pretty perfect. It rained throughout the morning. It was actually sunny and beautiful at 9 o'clock when we pulled into Ann Arbor, and I was like, "Here it is. It's perfect. It's not going to rain." The weatherman was wrong, you know. And then within like 40 minutes, the dark clouds started rolling in. It's like, okay. They did say 80% chance, you know. So it certainly did rain, but we did the treasure hunt during the rain. And then about 12 o'clock, 12:30, the rain died down, and we made it to the library to see the speeches. And we missed some of it, but we caught probably half of it. And that was pretty epic. that was pretty interesting. And
No.
we took our time throughout the day. In fact, we probably did half the treasure map before that, and then the other half after that, and finished up at the cup. So like that was the final place on the map. We'd hit all the spots. We completed our map, got to the cup, and the cup was amazing. Like you can't even describe it. Like I could try to describe it to you, but it wouldn't do
Right.
justice, you know.
Right. Yeah. Now, did Rick get up there and speak this year?
Yes, you did actually.
I didn't get a chance to see that yet. So.
I got to see the whole thing. I started recording it, but it was shitty weather, and I just really didn't get my phone out much. And it wasn't going too well, so I just figured I'd enjoy the moment, you know.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
Rick did get to speak.
That's awesome. He's a great advocate. You know, he's the guy who helped me basically get my feet wet in this industry. And
Yes, he is.
on top of, yeah,
can't say
definitely.
enough good things about Rick Antis. What's up, bro?
Definitely, yeah. And you know, Hashbash has been going for so many decades now that
52 years now.
Oh man, that's impressive.
I couldn't even believe it. Like I heard of it when I was a teenager.
Yep.
And I went to Rainbow Farms actually in the probably 99, something like that. And they had like a miniature version, or they were trying to do a spinoff or whatever. That was cool, but I didn't realize that actual Hashbash had been going on for 52 years. Like that's
right.
That's a historical event, you know.
Yep. And the crazy thing is my grandpa used to talk about it, and you know, I didn't know what it was. I was just like, oh, hash, you know, that's not my thing. You know, I'm a flower guy. I don't care about no hash. And then as I got older,
I'm starting to learn more about hash though, and I'm liking it a lot, really.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Before, when I was a teenager, the hash we would get, like, it was old school hash, and it just only got you so far, you know. It's like, okay, yeah, I like the taste or whatever, but it wasn't not what they have nowadays. Like now, like fresh bubble hash, stuff like that. And it's like, it'll spoil you actually.
my cousin makes hash now. It's kind of weird. I tried it. I don't know a lot about it, but it's a beet base, like the beets, the vegetable.
Yeah.
It's that based, but it's a hash. And
really?
I mean, I don't really care for beets. I don't know if you can taste it or anything.
I can't say I've never really had them.
But yeah, it's got like a purple tint to it, and it's pure. I mean, I know they do everything organic. They own a hemp farm up here, and stuff. But you know, I tried a little bit. I didn't know how to. I honestly did not know how to consume it. I'll be honest with you, and because I'm a flower guy, and so I sprinkled it over my joints, and
that's what I like to do.
Yep, and I got high as hell, and I was just like, "Oh, I guess this works," you know, like that. I guess this is how you use it. So
there you go. We figured it out.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah. So did you meet a lot of new people? Did you see a lot of people you knew there? I mean, how was the vibe?
I certainly saw a lot of people that I knew. I didn't get a chance to talk to all of them. I try not to like fanboy out, you know what I mean?
Right, yep.
Stay in my lane and just enjoy myself, you know, and support whenever I can, you know.
Yep, I'm the same way. You know, when I met Mendo Dope at Big Cloud, I didn't even fanboy. I wanted to, but I come from the entertainment industry. I was a photographer for Clear Channel Broadcasting, which is iHeartRadio for many years, and so I know how to act in the environment, you know. And it was like, okay, I want to geek out, but let's keep it professional. And then, you know, I didn't even go bug them. Like there were so many people. I'm like, you know, I'm here to get content, but they're so overwhelmed. I'm not going to do that. So then I reached out to them, and we had our first interview on here actually after the event, you know. Then they came again, and they knew who I was by then. They're like, "Hey, hit this joint," and I'm like, "Are you sure?" And they're like, "Dude, if you don't hit it, pass it." And I'm like, "Okay," you know, because I come from a town where we don't really even pass them around. We just keep to ourselves.
Your own, right?
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, that's cool. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those events that's on my calendar for next year. Um, this year work was just not good the past 2 weeks, and I didn't get a chance to make it. You know, a couple of my friends were going to go down there from this area that own farms and stuff, and none of us made it this year. But we do have an event coming up August 29th. I mean, I don't know if you're busy at the end of the month. If you're available, you know, and you want to take a trip on up to Muskegon, you're more than welcome. It's Michigan Gyms and Genetics, and it's going to be a great event. I mean,
That's where Josh Heinrichs is going to be performing.
I'm not
I believe.
sure, to be honest.
Is this Daniel Jobs event that you're talking about?
I don't know. I don't know the guy's name other than Michigan
Pretty
Gyms
sure,
and
yeah.
Genetics. To
I'm
be
pretty
honest
sure
with you.
that's the one, actually. He's got a big name. Well, a guy that I follow, Josh Heinrichs, is like a Rastafarian, or not Rastafarian, but he sings reggae music. There we go.
Okay. Yeah.
About cannabis mostly. And he's all over the scene. He's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, we got a couple good events coming up. You know, the thing that shocked me the most was I haven't found anything for actually 420 today. And I'm like, well, what's
Yeah.
going on that day? And everybody's like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, it's the day. Like, there should be an event somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
But I think it falls in the middle of the week. I don't even know. I haven't even looked at the calendar.
The last 2 years, I've taken work off on that day to just go have an experience, like at different dispensaries that have big things going on.
Yep, we got a few of them. They got billboards up. I just seen them today, and I was like, oh, they're gonna have a 420 party. But our we were supposed to have a consumption lounge open up here, and the problem was somehow their licensing got pulled for it. Funny, I don't know all the details.
I think I saw you post something about that.
Well, that was another company, but we had one happen here too. Yeah, and they had a actual place where you can consume, and but you had to buy it from them to consume it there. You couldn't bring your own. That was the downfall. But it was man, I got to try this. You know, I want to go hang out. You know, that's my type of atmosphere. I don't drink, but to socialize and smoke, I'm down for that. And they're like, oh, we open the 13th. And then I just reached out to them. They're like, yeah, we're not going to be opening yet. We don't got our licensing approved yet. And I'm like, well, you guys been saying you're going to open for a year now. Like, come on now. Like, we need this. Like, yeah, it's great. There's another one up north. I haven't been to it, but
it's been a tough thing for people to navigate, I guess. So.
Yeah.
Like the one in Kalkaska was saying
that's the one. Yep.
They're saying that you can bring in your own product. And but that sounds good, but what kind of business allows you to bring in your own stuff and consume it? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I just read about that place in Weedward magazine because Mindo was telling me about it, and they had an article on them in there. And the catch is you got to pay a membership. It's a membership, so you can do it daily, you can do it weekly, monthly, or yearly.
It makes it like a private club, kind of maybe like.
Yep. And it's
$50.
It's $50 for the day. I mean, it's not cheap. So I don't know I don't know if you get a bigger discount for the month, but if you're not at least consuming more than $50 worth of flour, I don't see it being worth your time. I mean, I mean, that's just personal opinion, you know. I mean, where I come from, you know, we try to hold our dollars, you know, like most people. I mean, things ain't getting easier. But let's talk about. Go ahead.
So speaking of holding your dollars, did you hear that Big Cloud's going to have a free event coming up?
I didn't.
At the end of May, they're having a Hetty in the Clouds event, and it's going to be free admission.
Okay. Yeah. I just renewed my card, actually. I'm waiting for it to get in the mail. And then I got a letter to Lily. My heart was in my throat because I used to be a bad kid. You know, as a kid, I got in a lot of trouble as a juvenile. And I get this letter in the mailbox today. And mind you, I ain't been in trouble in probably 15, 18 years. And it's like, okay, it said county clerk's office. And I'm like, oh, shit, what? Somebody's suing me. What's going on? Do I owe money? I just did my taxes. I know they're good. Like, what's going on? I open it up, jury duty for May. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh, really? I'm like, come on, no, I don't want to do that. Like,
that
seriously?
sucks.
Yeah, I get it
Have
every
you?
time too.
You've done it before?
Like 5 times. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Easy.
dude, you must. There
Yeah,
must not be many people where you live at. Then, huh?
I
your,
know, and
your
and
name
it
keeps coming
sucks.
out that often.
I got in trouble for one the last time I did it. You know, I got in some big trouble, like not full out trouble, but what most people don't know about it is if you don't show up, they file a warrant for your arrest, and
Really,
they
if you don't show up for
yes,
jury duty,
yes, and it's considered
damn,
it's a bench warrant. It's called
that's good information to have.
contempt of court, and I did it, and I missed it by a week. I had my dates off, and
Right? Okay.
I'm calling. I'm like, I'm not coming up. I guess I don't got to do it. And I was a week late. And all of a sudden, I got pulled. I got pulled over, and the cop was like, "I'm not gonna arrest you here. You know, blah blah blah. But you need to go down to the county building on Monday and turn yourself in." And I did. I had to go turn myself in as like a criminal,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
pay a $50 fine for them to take it off my record. And yeah, they made $50 on me because I didn't show up to be on the jury. And it's like,
Yeah,
man. But
yeah, that's stressful.
I understand it's our duty, but at the same time, it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
yep. So that's where
yeah,
I
it's
was with
very,
that.
that's stressful,
Yeah, it is stressful, you know.
especially when
But
you're trying to make money to make a living, and you know what I mean, and do your thing.
exactly. They
It
only pay.
interrupts your whole life, you know.
Yep. It's $32 for the whole day if you have to be there the whole day. That's all you get.
But you only get 32, but you got to pay 50 if you don't show up.
Yeah, yeah. You get what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's some
Now you
bullshit.
seeing where it's not adding up. Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's where I'm at with things. Like I'm like, man, but I don't want another one on my record, you
Can you
know,
just pay
obviously.
them $50 and not come in?
No, but
That might be worth it.
there's other ways out of it. I mean,
Okay, I
I
mean,
won't
if you're
say
gonna make,
I won't. Yeah.
let's say you're gonna make a few $100s that day working, I mean, it's like
Right.
here's $50, you know, scratch me off the
It's
list.
exactly.
Save the whole
But
picking you up on the warrant thing.
right. Yeah. I wish it was that easy, but I'm sure they have what they call like a habitual record for that. Where if you do it so many times, they're
Well,
like,
that should
oh,
mean they stop asking you to fucking do it then.
right, exactly. That, yeah. I'm not. I know this time I'm putting it in my phone as a reminder for every day
Yeah,
that
there
week
you go. Good
because
idea.
I am not getting contempt of court
Yeah, you
again. There's
never want
no
to
way.
miss a court date, man. That's not good.
Right. Yeah.
I guess
No.
not even if you're a juror.
Yep. So let's talk a little bit of cars. Let's talk a little bit of cannabis too. So, how long have you been doing these classic retro
So
builds and stuff like that?
I've been working steadily at this place for going on 5 years now. But like
Man.
15 years ago, they came into my town and they started up a shop. They've actually, the history of the company goes back into the early 80s.
Okay.
The guy who started this company is literally a legend. Chuck Beck is his name.
Okay.
And
I have to check them out.
he's like 87 this year, I want to say.
Wow.
Some of the guys I work with just went down. He lives down in Georgia, and they went
Okay.
down for his birthday just a few weeks ago. Every
Man.
year, usually they rent the, I think it's the Atlanta Speedway. There's some
Oh,
they rent some
okay.
speedway down there, and they run cars all day for his birthday party. But
That
he
would be
decided
wild.
just this year he finally decided he was getting too old for that. He's like 87.
Yep. I remember when you guys were looking for some help a while back, and I was like, man, if only I lived in Indiana, because I had the skills. I had like $5,000 worth of tools. I won't say where, but I do, and
I could use you, man. I could use you because
oh, definitely.
I still need help, but it's been easier for me to just do it myself
Yep.
than to try to babysit people that
Right.
don't pay attention and don't remember things.
I worked at
So
a
right
dealership.
now, I'm doing all the assembly basically myself.
Right. Yeah.
there's a lot. There's like probably 20 of us that work there. There's a lot of
Okay.
other things going on, but we actually build these cars completely from scratch.
So
They're
chassis and all.
yeah, they're fiberglass replicas of the early 1950s Porsches, 4 different models, and we
Man,
have fabricators that we make our own chassis, and then we have laminators that hand lay all the fiberglass, and
wow.
we make a lot of our own parts, like all the body components we make, and then a lot of the other shit we make, like the seats. We have our own custom upholstery shop in house. We do everything in house, man, with on one little block, one little corner, or one block here in my little town.
That's
And
impressive,
what's
man.
one interesting thing is that our brand is called Beck. So like Beck Spider is our version of the car James Dean crashed when he
Oh, no
died.
shit.
Was
Wow.
a Porsche 550 Spider. So we do a Beck 550 Spider, and
Man.
we have a good relationship with Porsche. They allow us to do things, but we have to follow some rules, you know.
Yeah, definitely,
So we're
definitely.
not just like copycats or whatever, you know. And we make a real good quality product. But
Yeah, I see your work, man. Every morning I love when you post stuff because I'm like, man, look at what he gets to do. Like when you're running the harness, and I've
yeah,
done all that stuff. I built cars, you know. I grew up building show cars and drag cars and race cars and customizing and modifying. I have to send you some pictures of my old builds. You'll be shocked.
yeah,
I know you, but I've been in magazines and stuff, and not to toot my own horn, but
that's
you know,
good, man.
yeah, and it was all. I did it all for the Fallen Heroes back then. I was on
Okay,
a tour. I was on an
nice.
actual
I
auto
think I
set.
remember here. I remember something about that actually.
Yeah, yep, and
It rings a bell.
yep, and it was good times, you know. And like I said, I got all the tools. If only I lived closer, because the pay ain't bad to me. I mean, I'd take that pay any day. And not only that, but compared to what I used to make, I mean, obviously costs go up, but you know what I mean. I worked
Yeah.
at a dealership as a steering and suspension mechanic for front ends, and I did all the same day maintenance and repairs. So
Okay.
basically, quick stuff. I didn't really get into the internal builds a lot, but I did that for 10 years. I mean, and that's what I did. You know, I was doing a lot of used car inspections mostly, and I was turning 600 cars a month. You know, I mean that's a lot for a big dealership. I
Yeah.
mean, it started out at 67 a week, and then they went to 250 a month, and then it went to 500, and then it was six something, and then COVID hit, and everything was stick in the mud, and basically, long story short, I left there and I went into truck driving, and my grandpa got bad with cancer and stuff and dementia, and it was a mess. And I got off the road as a truck driver, and I went back to the dealership. I went back for the third time. And they never fired me. I never left on bad terms. I've always been on good terms with them.
That's
But
good.
yeah, and I left and I came back, and they weren't valuing me this last time. Like a couple of my friends passed away that been there for like 20 plus years. They died from COVID, and it was terrible. Like it wasn't like it used to be. And I left there and I went to the RV industry, and
Okay.
I was an RV technician. I did restoration and repair for RVs for a company called Lakeshore RV up here, and we'd make
Okay.
trips down there to South Bend and that area and pick up a lot of
Yeah, we're the
motorhomes.
RV capital.
Oh yeah,
I live
oh
in the
yeah,
RV capital of the world, bro.
yeah, yeah. I've been down there so many times, it's ridiculous. And that's what I did for a while there. Then I went back to truck driving and kind of do a mix of a little bit of everything. Now I kind of just do my own thing. Like I don't
Yeah.
have a boss. I
Well,
got out of debt
that's the
a few
American
years
dream.
ago. Yeah. So, you know, I've been debt free since 2019, and
Awesome.
it's not been easy, but because I live very frugal. But yeah, I mean, you know, I don't have a new car or a fancy house or to wear new clothes. I don't need all that. I come
No,
from a small town, and
I feel you.
Yeah, definitely. So, with that being said, I want to know a little bit about your cannabis history. Like, when was the first time you came across it, and where'd you get it from?
So I don't want to incriminate anybody here on this podcast.
Sure, you
Consider
can change names.
I live in Indiana,
Yep.
but I don't really give a fuck. I'm just playing. So I was probably like 13 when I first used cannabis.
Okay.
Um, it had been in my life since I was born. Um, that's it. It was all the time in my life. So I knew the smell. I knew about it. Had a talk with my dad when I was in Dare. Okay, like I don't know. You probably had Dare. I'm imagining.
Yeah, we did. I
So in
remember it exactly.
in Dare, like I come home from school and so I've always had a conscience, like I've always like wanted to do what's right.
Yep.
So I'm in Dare and I'm being told all this shit, So I come home and I ask my dad, like, they're telling me this is bad. What's going on here? And he's like, well, it's considered illegal here. It's wrong, considered bad, So first of all, don't be telling anybody about it. But I look at it. He looked at it like people don't smoke weed. They don't use cannabis and go wreck their car. They don't
Right.
get crazy and beat their wife. They don't go do stupid shit. And I've never seen my dad drink a drop of alcohol like ever in my whole life. I'm 40. I'll be 42 this year, and I've never seen him drink a drop of alcohol.
Right.
And he just chose. He's like, this is what I choose. And
Yep.
so
And I
like,
pray my dad would have did that. He's in prison now. He's back. I mean, he's been in prison probably 36 of my 38 years of living here, and
man, that sucks, man.
yeah, I don't drink at all. I don't even touch it. I had from 21 to 23 was my spurt there, and I was so sloshed. I would sleep in the back of my van in bar parking lots with me and my brother. And, we'd pass out in the back, and we
Right.
wouldn't drive. We were too smart for that. But I can tell you, waking up sick every day the next day was not for me. I mean,
Right.
like you spend all this money to feel good for a couple hours, then the next day you wake up feeling like shit, and it's like that ain't worth it. And then if you vomit it all up, well, there goes all your money down the toilet. I mean, it's gonna go down the toilet anyway, but
Yeah.
I don't find it worth it.
So like at that same time, actually, when I first used cannabis, I also first used alcohol. Like my parents were gone, and I got in the fridge, and there was like Dark Eyes vodka in there.
Ooh.
And there was like it was before a school dance, and I had a buddy with me, and he had an older brother, and he knew about weed. So I stole some roaches from my dad, and my buddy showed me how to smoke them and hold it in. I had actually smoked. I smoked once before that when I rolled it. I found some weed in my neighbor's basement, and it was like up in the above the heat ducts and shit, and it was wrapped up in a newspaper. It was just like some ditch weed. We call it like Napanee nasty around here because it just grows wild, but it ain't worth a fuck. It's hemp basically.
Yeah.
But we went out and smoked that, and I rolled it in like a Band-Aid paper, a Band-Aid wrapper, because this was the thinnest thing I could find, and it looked like what I seen my dad use.
Sure.
Like, oh, this must be it, And didn't get anything. I didn't get high, There, I was like, okay, what the fuck? But then shortly after is when this happened, before like a school dance, and my buddy showed me how to hold it in, and I got ripped, And I pretty much smoked every day of my life since then, man.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
That became my thing, and I stole roaches from my dad for long enough until I could buy my own weed.
Yep.
But I started working when I was 13, so I had money,
Sure.
I worked on got hired to work on a farm taking care of horse stalls, and in a little factory here in town. The same family owned the factory, and I like did lawn care and cleaned the shop and shit, you know.
Can't beat
So,
that. Yeah. I started out doing dishes for Russ's restaurant. So I guess we both started young. I was 14 when I got my first job, and I've been working ever since. I started out, I think it was 4.15 an hour or something like that. Nowadays, nobody would even bat an eye at that. Like,
I think I might have made 6. I might have been making like 6 when I very first started, $6 or $7 an hour, maybe. I was lucky.
Yep. Yeah. So, have you been to a lot of Big Cloud events then?
Oh yeah, last year I think I went to every one of them.
Okay, cool. So then
I'm still confused whether there was events the year before that. Like, when did it start?
I'm not sure, to be
But
honest.
I just got tapped in like last year around this time, actually.
Same here.
I remember seeing you there, actually.
Yeah. So next time, we're definitely gonna have to meet up, because now I know who you are. The first couple times I stayed to myself, I didn't know anybody, and
Yeah, I still do that even when I know who people are. It's just like,
right. Yep.
we're all having our own time, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Just
The
the vibe.
first person I met over there, you might know him, you might not. You might have seen a show. Eagle, fucking talking shit with Eagle, was the first person I met.
Sure,
And
sounds familiar, but I'm not positive.
well, you have to go.
I'll
You
check
have
it
to
out
check him
for
out.
sure.
Yeah, he's on YouTube, and he's got a whole show.
Oh,
He's had everybody on there, and
did
he
you say Eagle?
Eagle. Yep,
Hmm.
Eagle
Okay.
Gardens.
Okay.
Um, he don't got no hair like me. We both got autoimmune problems that probably affect that, but yeah, I mean, he's a great guy, and yeah, he was the
Yeah.
first guy that I met there. Like, I didn't even know where I was going, and he was like, "Oh, you
I've
gotta
met a
go
lot
over
of
there."
I've met a lot of good people there, actually,
Yep,
and
yep,
I've
definitely.
enjoyed bringing not necessarily bringing them with me, but
Right,
turning a lot of people onto it. You know, it's like,
definitely.
because I'm in Indiana and I'm not trying to hook people up with weed.
Right, yeah, I don't blame you.
What I do is I can show you where to get it. You
Yep,
know,
yep,
like,
yep,
you see this stuff that I got that I'm smoking, it's fire. Like, I can show you where to get that.
yep,
It's right over here at this event, and then you
yep,
just stock up until the next event.
yep,
Or you tap
exactly.
in with people that are there that you meet that are open to talking with you at other times.
Right,
You
right,
build, work
exactly.
on it, you build relationships. If that you find whatever you're looking for, really. Like,
Oh,
if you
definitely,
want
yeah,
to go
it's not a
if
problem.
you want to go buy some cheap weed because you would like, you're getting the best possible deal you can find that. If you want to find the best shit that you've ever smoked in your life, you might be able to find that too. Find
Definitely.
whatever, find what you're looking for.
Yeah, I tell you, I try. I know, no disrespect to Indiana. I try to avoid that place. I ain't gonna
I
lie.
don't blame
I got in a
I
lot of
don't
trouble.
blame
Yeah,
dude.
we were.
So literally just last year, I did 10 days in jail for having 2 joints.
I've heard
So
of other people saying that too, and I
I
can't
was
believe
ice
that.
fishing. I was ice fishing last January, and the DNR came up to my ice shanty, and I just thought it was a friend or somebody that I knew. And when I opened my little blind, there he was, and he smelled it. Obviously, I wasn't smoking right then, but I had a little earlier, and of
Yep,
course, I got to have the loudest shit.
yep,
And he was like, he about knocked him down, he said, and whatever. But I was honest and I gave it up. I thought he was going to be cool, but he
yeah,
ended up he didn't arrest me. He still charged me with a misdemeanor possession. So I ended up having a charge that I was going to have to do. They want you to do probation.
yep,
They're like, oh, that's just what everybody does. And I don't do probation. I've done that I've had many run-ins with the law with cannabis. Like,
yep. Me too.
I got kicked out of high school for it. I got kicked out. Then I came back and finished high school. Then I went to college and I got kicked out of college for it. And then I just started working. But
Wow.
I've been to jail quite a few times for cannabis. It's not going to
Yeah,
stop. You know?
same here. I mean, I spent 2 years in adult jail at the age of 16. I mean, I was a bad kid, a bad kid. I graduated while I was,
I mean, what were you doing? What were you doing that was so bad?
um, well, we'll start with the easy stuff. The easy stuff was retail fraud. Um, I'll admit I had sticky fingers, hung out with the wrong people, but I never stole from anybody I knew personally. It was always,
Okay.
it ended up becoming like a game slash addiction. Um,
Mhm.
Basically, my friends and me, it became a challenge that you had to steal something when you went somewhere. It was just that challenge. If you were
No,
good, you could get away with something,
I've seen stuff. I understand that.
Yeah, and it became that, and then it just became stupid stuff like shoes, alcohol, tobacco, and I got caught on all three of them right in a row. One, then I got caught again, then I got caught again, and the judge was like, "You're gonna go to prison for 5 years if I catch you again." Put me in county jail for 2 years. I was on what basically a work release program, but it's for people that are in high school. So
Okay.
I would get to go to school every day. My public school, they would drop me off, or I'd have a parent pick me up, and then I'd have to go back after school. Like nobody even knew because they didn't even think it because I was going to school. Like
Yeah, I've never heard
the
of that
people.
before, man.
Yeah, yeah, and it was terrible. And then I got in trouble at the age of 16 for grand theft auto, which got dropped to joyriding. It was family's vehicle, so I didn't get in trouble, and they left the keys in the ignition. But we skipped school and drove around the farm town here. And my buddy, I had driver's permit. I knew how to drive. The other two didn't so much, and I let them drive anyway. And my buddy went to back up into a cornfield, like into the driveway, and missed the driveway, and the back tire fell in the ditch. And there we sat. Well, then the farmer came down, and he was pissed. And he didn't even say nothing. He just came down on his tractor, looked at us, turned around, and went back. About 20 minutes later, state police pull up with the principal. I had to go back to school covered in mud.
That's hilarious.
And then the next couple of days, I went to court, and it wasn't good. Yeah. And that's just a couple of them, and I got caught on a date, smoking on my birthday, and same deal as yours. I flicked it out the window. It blew across the Lake Michigan beach. Had the windows up. I didn't have nothing on me, but they smelled. I'm high as shit. We're just me and this girl talking on my birthday on a date at Lake Michigan, enjoying a joint. And it was up in a place called Silver Lake, which a lot of people
was this before things were legalized?
Yeah, but it was medical. So I
Okay,
just got my medical card, but it wasn't arrived yet. It was coming literally in the mail. I had the paperwork
like
from the glove box.
Like they're gonna believe that.
Right. But I had my paperwork. So they seen it, and long story short, this was because my grandma died 6 years ago. Yes, 2 days ago on the 3rd was I lost my grandma, and but 6 years ago is when it happened. So actually 7 years ago on November 11th. 7 years ago, November 11th. And they searched the car, they didn't find nothing. I had a WD-40 stash can, and because I was a mechanic, and I had that fucker full of 2 ounces shoved inside. And it even rattled like the can and everything. They picked it up, rattled it, threw it off to the side. My throat's in my chest. And I mean, my heart is in my chest. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, please don't find that. And they didn't find it. They found my grinder. I had a 5.5-inch grinder, big boy. And they're like, we're taking this. And it had roaches in it. And they're like, we got paraphernalia. And they got me on that. Well, they got me on that, and they dropped the charges to probation. I did my probation. I did my fees. I even had to do Alcohol Anonymous classes. But
Been there
as
and done all that.
cannabis. Yeah, and I'm like, this doesn't even pertain to me. Like,
Yep,
okay. And long story short, I did everything. And I got to my 4th month of 6 months of probation, and my grandma died. And they just wiped everything right there. They just said, you're going through enough. You got to deal with
that's
all
good.
this
They
now.
did that at least.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not on my record or nothing now, but I can tell you it was. And I've had a lot of things expunged. The other stuff I talked about doesn't come up anymore neither. It's been sealed, it's been expunged.
That's good, man.
That's why I can talk about it.
It helps
I've
you to
had
move. It helps you to move forward because we're not like a sum of all of our mistakes. That's we
exactly.
don't have
Well, I couldn't
we
even
don't
get a
have
job.
to, we don't have to live like that.
Right. Yeah, nowhere would hire me, especially with the retail. Like nowhere. Only places I could work was factory work, and no disrespect to anybody out there that does it. I'm glad you guys love it, but I have to have a job where I'm doing a different challenge every day, something different. It might be repetitive, but it's different. You get what I'm saying? Like it's a
Yeah,
different view or a different project or a different car or uh it's just different. Every day you're seeing
yeah.
something different. And in a sense, it could be in the same place. Dealership work, I loved it. But I knew right around, you know, right after New Year's for us in the repair industry, from there to basically April. So from like February to April, you were completely dead. Like you were standing around not doing shit. Like I knew that and I prepared
Yeah,
for it every year.
I
Yeah.
can't deal with that shit.
No,
I
neither
got.
could I.
I'll go. So with my jobs, I got it made. Really, man, I got it made. But if I get to a point where I'm not being productive, I can just be done for the day and go home, or I can come back later if I want, and
Same here. Yep.
pretty much work anytime that I want.
When we get off here, I'll be going back to work as crazy as it sounds. I'll go back out there and I'm going to do a couple more loads, deliveries, and
Hey,
because
that's good.
it's like commission based, so
Yeah,
every delivery I make so much. So it's like
absolutely,
I'm going
absolutely.
to go do it. I literally get on my dispatch and I pick the loads I want to take and boom, I'm gone. Like there we go. I'm on my way. Oh, I don't want that one,
So
or that one ain't.
I got a question for you. Do you got Amish up there that grow cannabis?
Say what?
Do you have Amish up there in your area that grow cannabis?
Yes, we do. And it's very funny because they caught me smoking at my parents' house that lived more Amish than I do back in the day.
Okay.
And they don't call it cannabis. They don't call it marijuana. At least here. I asked them
What do they
what they
call
call
it?
it. He said, "Oh, we call that brown cigarette." That's what he calls it, brown cigarette. And I said, "Why is it brown cigarette?" He said, "Because we wrap it in tobacco leaf." I said, "Oh, so a
Okay.
blunt. And that's how they smoke it. They don't smoke it in the papers, zigzags like you think. They smoke it in dried
So
tobacco leaves.
I met a guy at Hashbash who had a booth on Monroe Street. As soon as you got to, he was like on the end.
Okay.
He was selling tobacco leaves for rolling with.
Okay. Yeah,
In
yeah,
fact, my brother got a pack of them from him. I'm gonna have to check into that. But he was
yeah,
real interesting, and he was telling me about his tobacco plants that he grows, and he was pretty passionate about it. He was
yeah.
from up. He was up your way, like he was way up in the UP, I think, actually.
They do a lot
You're
up
not that
there.
far up, right?
Oh, the UP is about 5 hours. People
Okay.
don't think of it that way. From me to Detroit is 3 hours, but from me to
Okay.
the bridge is 5 hours. Tell me that ain't
Damn.
crazy. Yeah,
Wow,
like
that's it.
yeah. Like from me to Detroit is 3 hours. From me to Chicago is 3 hours. From me
Okay.
to the to Mackinac Bridge, the UP, is 5 hours.
Damn.
And
I got-
from me to Orlando is 20 hours. I've
hmm.
done it in 18. From me to Paris Island, South Carolina, I've done it in 18 hours also.
Okay.
I've done it to Savannah.
That's in a rig.
No, that's in a regular car. That's
Okay.
vacationing, vacationing, just fun, In a rig, you only can do 65. Most companies have them governed at 65. I'd get out there on the highway and I wouldn't even care about speed. All you would have to do is literally get out on the highway, punch it to the floor. If it's an automatic, if it's a manual, you're shifting, the same deal, but you're shifting. And you it tops at 65. You can't you can push it as hard as you want and it ain't going anymore. And you just get out there on the highway and you can literally hold it to the floor, and that's your cruise control. If you don't want to set the cruise, you ain't going any faster. Literally, you're not. It's governed and it's computer controlled, and it's crazy. And then we got trans brakes that literally, if you hit the trans brake, it's for emergencies only. I've never used one, but I've heard guys doing it, and it literally throws 3 gears right there. So if you do it, most of the time they have to rebuild the transmission because it throws the ring gears right out of it. But it's I've heard of guys doing it. Like, it locks you up right now. It has a big transmission on the button, and then like a no smoking round thing. Line through it, and so not to hit it.
Break the glass before you push the button.
Yeah, like almost like you shouldn't be hitting that unless it's an emergency. And then, but I was always using what they call Jake brake, which is an engine brake. I love that because you'd let off the gas, and as soon as it determined the throttle plate was closed, it would start to apply a brake to the motor. Pretty much to the crank, and start slowing you down. And it was great because I never had to worry about really using my brakes when I was pulling 80,000 pounds, because I used to pull 80,000 pounds of meat from Comstock Park, Grand Rapids area, all the way down to Wolverine, USA, which is in Detroit. They sell meat. A lot of people don't know that. And and I would go down there and do that, and I would back right up in there's a place over there called Eastern Market. I would back right up in Eastern Market and like have to stop traffic. So imagine backing up in Times Square. That's basically how it was. And cars coming both ways. The road's only big enough for the semi to go down it, but yet there's cars parked on both sides of the streets. I'm not a city boy, so I'm not used to that. Like, even here, when I do city deliveries, I have to look at the addresses real close, because it's not like the country where the driveways match up with the addresses.
Right.
In the city here, like some of the buildings and houses, the driveway will be to the right of the door. So the door will be here and the driveway will be over here, or it'll be the opposite. And you're like, or you'll pull in the neighbor's driveway on accident, and you're like, or the neighbor company, and you're like, oh shit, I'm in the wrong place, And that's stuff I had to learn to get used to. It became like a culture shock for me. Like I tell a lot of people, I'm so small town, I don't even watch TV. Like, you could tell me something and I'm going to believe you until I go look it up. Like, it's just, that's how I haven't watched TV in probably 3 years.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I have TVs in my house that I've lived here 15 months almost, and it's been 15 months since I've been homeless. And long story short, I've never plugged my TV in. It's still sitting in the same spot. Never been. Yeah, like, I'm never home though, so like I watch everything on my phone and I learn stuff. So, but let's ask a little more about you. I want to hear a little bit more about you and the cannabis side of things. So, do you have a favorite strain or a favorite way that you like to partake in cannabis? Like a certain way you like to smoke it?
So I'm a flower guy for sure. Okay. And I prefer, I'm partial to my own joints. I hand roll all my own joints. I don't do cones or anything like that.
Sure.
I mean, I put a lot of practice in when I was a teenager,
See, and
I went to Woodstock in 1999, and I bought like a quarter pound of weed before I went, and I rolled up at least like 100 joints. So I had a couple buddies come over and they helped roll a bunch of joints. I had cigarette packs that were just full of joints.
Wow.
I've
Like
gotten
I,
good at it. And in fact, lately my thing has been to roll a hash hole to try to put a hash worm in the center, get it in the center of my joint, and then put some oil on the outside with some bubble hash on it. And it's like that. I've rolled a couple of those that have been like competition worthy, I feel like. But
I just tried my first. I ain't even close, but it was close enough for me from a dispensary because, like I told all the guys from the groups, I said I don't even know where to get that stuff. Like to make one, like I wouldn't know where to get it all. Like I'm a flower guy, like.
right.
So they're like, just go to the dispensary and get a dab, get it this and that. So I went and I bought one that was already made, but it just had a worm of live resin down the middle. That was it, nothing else.
Yeah.
And it cost me $15. And I was like, oh, and it was so, and I'll admit, I want to try more because they got me intrigued. I really like them.
Well, it's
I like,
much better if it's much better if you're either making it yourself or you're getting it from somebody
right.
that is using craft products.
Yeah, this
And
stuff
I
made me
mean,
cough.
so your dispensary that you went to, what's it called?
It was Levels. That's what it's called. Yeah,
Levels. Are they any
Levels
good?
Cannabis.
What do you think about them?
I only go there when I'm literally between harvests. Like I told everybody, I'm a grower, so I can't. It's hard for me to support them. I even
So
tell
do
them,
you have like options and you choose them, or is that like the only
yeah,
option?
yeah. Well, they gave me they picked it that time. They didn't give me an option
I
that
mean,
time.
like, do you have a lot of dispensaries around you?
Oh yeah, we have 18 in our town, and
Oh,
they have
shit.
licensing for 23. So we have a couple more that are still
So
being
out
built.
of all 18 of them, Levels is where you go, or if you have
Uh,
to.
no, 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 no. I'll
Okay,
admit,
I'm just trying to
if I
figure it
if
out.
I
'Cause I think
if
they
I
have a.
had my choice, I would be going to my. I have two friends that live here that own micro grows that
Okay,
are pretty
okay,
pretty well off.
Uh,
I would go to them, but I
okay.
can't. I honestly, and it's not that I can't support them; it's that I can't afford
Yeah,
it.
I understand.
and
I
and
understand completely.
when you're paying 225 for a craft ounce, um, it's expensive when you can go get
Yeah,
something for $40. I'm not trying to cater to that, but when you're on a budget, like
yeah.
like I said, I live frugally, so I don't like to spend money at all.
Well,
So
you're not the
I
only one. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. So I'll go in there.
That's why these places exist, because people are buying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and I try not to, and they know who I am now. That's the bad part. They know about the show, so like, yeah, it's spread around like wildfire because I did Indie Grow, which is a micro grow here, and they're
Yeah.
phenomenal. And then I did My Canna Connection, which
Okay.
are the two. And My Canna, I can relate to them. I love my people at Indie Grow. They treat me well. I have never tried their product yet. I'll be honest, but they treat me well as people.
Yeah,
And
that means a lot. You know?
yes, yes, and they even offered me a job. I just don't want to be a caregiver. I mean, not a caregiver, a bud tender. Uh,
Yeah.
I want to work in cultivation, and I don't know if I want to full out work in the legal market yet or not. But I do want to work in cultivation. That's what I love. But I
Yeah.
also love marketing too. So I think my niche is marketing of cultivation, and
Okay.
but because I have a degree in marketing. But the long story short, them two places, I would give support any day, and I feel terrible for my Canna because they
That's
just
who
got work.
you. That's who you would recommend if I was to come through your town. That's.
Oh yes, definitely, definitely, hands down, hands down. Yes, you want craft cannabis that's quality. Them are the
And those
places
are
to
both
go.
micro grows.
Both micro grow
Are
licenses.
those the
Yes,
only two micro grows out of that 18?
I think we might have three. I haven't been to the third one, but
Okay.
yes, as far as I know, them are the only two in this area.
So
Yes,
I've
and
been pretty. I like the micro grow. I mean, seeing.
yep,
So I was really attracted to the micro grow. There was a company called Transcend
okay,
that was the first one that was within a reasonable drive of where I live, and it was in Hartford, Michigan.
yep,
And which is actually where this Big Cloud event's going to be taking place in May.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yep.
I'll be there. At the race. So Transcend, that was a micro grow, and my wife and I were able to go there and tour the place and go in the back and see the plants and know exactly, like, talk to the growers and know like what's going on, so we can feel good about consuming that product.
Definitely, you know, yes. I mean? Yes.
And I really like that. Yeah, I like that aspect of the micro grow.
Now, did you have to go through the air shower or do they have anything like
that? They weren't following all the protocols.
Okay.
In fact, that company is dissolved, and things didn't pan out to be the way that they said that they were going to be. But that's kind of how I met Rick Ansis. So at least something from my perspective, something good came out of it. I know he went through a lot of bullshit. Yeah. But it led to him and I building a relationship, which I'm very grateful for. So
I gotta tell the story of how I met him. I'm just chuckling because it made me laugh. I met him at the event where his bus got away from him, and it ended up in the
That's probably the same time when I saw you. Was at that event.
Yeah, and I'm like, I seen his bus parked earlier, and I'm like, oh, okay, but I couldn't find it. I couldn't find him, and he was a busy man that day. And I couldn't connect, and everybody. I met with Laura from Big Cloud, and she got me set up and stuff. And I never got to meet Rick that night until late at night. Laura? Yeah, and Rick was like, my bus just went down the hill and in the woods, and I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, man, we go look. And I look down there, I'm like, holy shit, it's in the woods, like really in the woods. Like, okay. Yeah. But yeah,
by the time we got there that day, they already had pulled it out. But we were there that afternoon.
Yeah, between him and Dallas, I have funny stories of how I met him. I met Dallas when I wanted to do the first Big Cloud event, and he answers the phone, and I'm like, he's like, hello, and I'm like, and me, I couldn't keep my mouth shut. Me being who I am, I'm like, damn, dude, you just wake up? Like, it's noon. Like, you all right? And he's like, no, man, I'm all right. How you doing? And we talk business, It went to business from there, but it was funny. It's just, it's all fun and games. I ain't mad at these guys. These guys are wonderful. And Rick has welcomed me with open arms and opened my eyes up to things I've never seen before. And definitely,
it's been an interesting journey. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I got a couple more questions before we let you go here. We've been here almost an hour, and I try to wrap up around the hour mark because people tend to lose interest after an hour. And long story short, if you could smoke with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be and why? And I want the first organic thought that pops in your head.
Probably Bob Marley.
Definitely. Yeah.
I'd love to smoke with Bob Marley. That'd be what's up.
Yeah, a lot of people say that, but there's a good reason. He it's a lot of spiritual, a lot of culture, a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, a lot of everything.
Activism.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm an activist at heart, man. That's why I had to go to Hashbash.
Yeah, definitely.
I kind of feel ashamed that I haven't been to them up until now, but it just was like the thing to do for me. And not taking my wife, like she really wanted to come, but it just didn't quite work out, and it was like, I'm going anyways. Like, I have to go have this experience.
Right. Well, now you know what to expect, and I mean, maybe you both can plan and attend next year. That would be kind of cool,
Next year it's going to go even better. And Josie said that they're going to be doing the maps again next year, and they're going to be even bigger and better.
I'm coming next year. Like, I got to prepare for it,
Yeah, absolutely. You need to.
The biggest thing I will.
You should think about trying to get like a booth or something somewhere to promote your show, or you just do it, out of your backpack or whatever.
That would work better for me. I did booths for for the Big Cloud events last year, and I set up mobile studio, and nobody wanted to get on the mic. Everybody was scared,
Well, it takes
and
some time to get yourself your
yep,
reputation build up,
yep,
you know.
yep,
They
yep, and
build
then
relationships, man, and then
exactly,
people find out about you, and then they want to come be on your show. Like
yep,
me,
yep.
I'm honored to be on your show, man.
Definitely, yeah, and we work with HLG, so every Big Cloud event, I was giving away a $1,200 light. I mean, I, the same guy won at two of the Big Cloud events. He won two of the lights. I mean, his luck was
So
that good.
what did you say? HOG? Is it
HLG, Horticulture Lighting Group.
HLG? Okay, I got you.
Yep, yep. They're pricey, but they're one of the leading light men. I'm not saying they're the best, but they're one of the leading out there. They're the best for what we use. Myself so far, yes, but
Okay.
they're not the best out there. But I have a lot of different lights I've tested, and
Well, you
they
should
probably
test out if you get another chance to test something out. You should check out Lush Lighting.
okay,
Lush. Lush.
okay.
They're out of Niles. My friend Matt, he's developed his own lights.
Oh
Um,
wow,
he put in a lot of time and research and worked with scientists from other countries, and like this isn't like something he just came out with. It's been
sure,
he's had his grow shop for like 10 years. They did their 10-year anniversary last year,
wow,
and had like a give back. It's actually where I did my first weed bingo at. Like my wife and I went to celebrate him and his wife's 10-year anniversary at the grow shop, and we ended up playing cannabis bingo and winning. Like I won like a couple free quarters of weed playing bingo. I was like, well, that I could get used to this. This is cool. So
yeah. I see they do that at what was it? I think it was Rainbow Farms does that too.
it's the same guy who hosted it
Okay.
at this.
Yeah, yeah. I have
Yeah,
not been to any of their events yet, and a good friend of mine, she works there,
it's a
and
great idea, man. It really is a great idea. He got people to donate some things like some edibles, and so all these different vendors don't donate a little bit of stuff, you know, and then
yep.
that becomes the prizes for the bingo.
See, and
It's
that's
pretty
what I want
cool.
to do.
It
I
gets
want to
people
do.
interacted, you know.
Yep. I want to donate a bunch of shirts this year, and I got my new one on here,
I
and
know I've seen that. I like that.
they turned out phenomenal. Like the guy is local, which makes it
Okay.
great for me. I mean, obviously he's got to order the supplies in, which is why it takes a little bit of time. But then he's on it, and he's doing it. He's really involved. He even told me we're gonna have him on the show too. He's the name of his company is Dynamite Shirts, and he's from
Okay.
Muskegon, Michigan, and he's gonna be coming on the show here eventually because he's starting to do a lot of branding for the cannabis industry, and he's started a lot of great clothing lines for other companies. Obviously it's their artwork and their designs, but he does the actual labor of putting it together. And
Who does the printing?
yep, and this is what I wanted. I wanted it die cut. I wanted it to last. I wanted quality. And
Yeah.
I wanted it not to look like something somebody printed off the computer, because that's what I've been getting lately. And there was a lady that I went to school with that did my first ones, and they were great. But she can't produce them fast enough. She's grown so big for one person out of her house that she's 2 to 3 weeks out at a time and turning orders. And I'm like, I can't do that. This guy, he'll take the pre-orders and then he'll do them all in one sum, and then I'll ship them out to you guys, which isn't a problem, and it keeps the cost down for me. I literally, and everybody will hear it here, I literally am not making any money off of any of my merch. And I know people are like, well, what's the point then? I'm trying to build a brand. I'm trying to get my name out there. I make $3 a shirt. Of them $3, 100% of that goes back into this to start another project.
Yeah.
So the next thing after the t-shirts, we're doing hoodies. Hoodies will be $35.
I certainly want a hoodie. I'm gonna buy a hoodie from you for sure as soon as you're ready.
They'll be
for
the
money.
same font. I mean, the same shirt. You can get them different colors if you want it. Don't want the tie dye. I can make that happen. But I settled on this same print, tie-dye. The only downfall to the hoodie is he said they're more of like a Dickies hoodie, like a rough, like they're durable. They're not like a soft Hanes, like, oh, I'm going to go lay
Right.
on the couch. It's more of a work hoodie,
That's
I
well,
guess.
yeah. That's I'll wear it.
Yeah, yeah. And we're going to do snapbacks. I'm going to do key tags. I'm going to do bucket hats because I want bucket hat. And I got a company I'm trying to get. If they don't do it, I'm still going to get it done, but I'm going to get a poncho made for events. It's an actual real woven hand sewn. I found it off of Etsy. It's somebody that
Okay.
actually hand sews them. Like this ain't machined.
Yeah.
It's like a half hoodie. So it's got the hood, but it's a long poncho, but it's kind of like the Cowboys would wear. And it has the tassels, but it's kind of Mexican style too, but
Hmm.
it's kind of psychedelic. So it's kind of a
That's
mix
gonna
of
be
everything.
for your
Yeah.
event. You're going to events.
Yeah, yeah. Like if it's raining or it's cold, I ain't got to throw a big heavy coat on, and it's got the hood, and I'm gonna put across the back organically blunt. I'm gonna have my
Nice.
logo across the back of it.
I really
Yeah.
like that name, man. The name organically blunt. Like I relate to that. Like,
Well, yeah, and
very,
that's how I am. You know, a lot of people growing up, a lot of people used to say, "You're cocky, you're too honest, you're to the point," and that is why to this day my family does not talk to me. My biological family. I'm too realistic. Like
yeah. Some
when my
people-
grandpa died, and I started talking stuff, in reality, they couldn't handle it, and then all of a sudden, I lost 8 people the year I lost my grandpa, and people were just having me handle the death side of things, and they're like, "You're strong, you can handle it," and it's like, no, I'm not strong. I just have to handle it, like, and that's where it's at now. You know, it's like I've lost a lot of people, but then it's almost like I think my family might kind of a little bit blame me for it, but at the same time, my family became, how do I word it, burdened with greed. And I lived in my childhood home. I took care of my grandparents when they got old because they raised me. You know, shoe goes on the other foot. And long story short, my family served me an eviction notice. The date's coming up. So I will be a little emotional that day. So if you see anything on the 13th of April, that's why. That was the last day I got to stay in my house before I was forced to leave.
yeah.
Just
That sucks, man.
15 months ago, you know, I roughly, you know, or however, well, actually it's less than that. It would be a year. It would be a year or no, sorry. Yeah, it would be like
Yeah,
two.
that sucks.
I don't know the amount, but it might be 2 years. But long story short, because it's almost like that time of me being homeless is not
Oh
even
yeah.
been in my life. Like I have to look back at it and try to count how long it was been because I literally erased it from my memory. Like I don't.
I understand completely.
Yeah, it was just a hardship I don't want to remember. But
Yeah, that's
long
why
story.
we have to move forward, right?
Yeah, yeah. But you know, the long story short was, you know, they sold my childhood home and served me eviction notice, and I became homeless. Like I had nowhere to go. My family didn't want to help me, and I did it on my own. I lived in my car for 10 months, and it wasn't fun, but now I prefer it. Like people think it's weird. Like now, like I prefer my most comfortable spot for me is my car. Like my house, it's great to have all this room and but it's
You
like
got
having.
an apartment there, or you got your own house, or what's up?
I got a mobile home. I own it.
Okay,
You know, I pay cash. I don't owe nothing on it. I worked for
cool.
10 months and saved every penny and paid cash and bought it outright. But it does have some issues. It needs some work. But what house don't? But you know, I mean, I did it
No, it's
right.
yours, right? Nobody can kick you out of it. That's the
Well,
main
that's what
thing.
my grandpa told me before he died. You know, we talked about all this, you know, and that's the thing that my family does not grasp is they don't understand that my grandfather prepared me for his death. Like We talked about everything that was going to happen, stuff he didn't think was going to happen that I thought was going to happen. And some of it did happen, just like I said it was going to. And, you know, you really find out who your family is when the glue of the family passes away.
Oh, absolutely.
And you see who's greedy and who's really about the family values. Like I was about the family values. I didn't want to sell the house. I was affording it. Only thing we had to do on the house was pay the utilities and the property taxes. It was paid for. And it was a farm, and I had a big plot. I had an outdoor garden that was huge that I grew cannabis in, and I lost it all.
You lost it all, man. That sucks.
Yeah. And I'm trying to build back to that. My next plan is I'm going to be going more north than here. It's called Newaygo County, Michigan. If I ever can get the land up there, that's where I want to build. Unless I can find something south and they legalize fully down there, at least for growing. That's the reason I haven't gone south yet. I have a lot of opportunity to go south, like Georgia and Tennessee and Kentucky. Yeah. But the problem is, there's a Bible Belt. They don't want it down there. And I want it down there because I could grow year round, and I don't like cold. It really bothers my health, but I stay here because of the cannabis. That's really the main reason why I'm still here. I need it for my medicine, and I grow it myself. You
got room to grow there at least.
I got a 3-bedroom house. And I use one room for the office studio, one room for the grow, and then I have my bedroom. It's just me, so like, it's great. It's great. And that was my whole plan before I even bought a house. I already had that plan. Like I had everything, even this podcast planned. Like I had this podcast planned before my grandpa died. This was going to be me and his show. We were going to start a reality show, in a sense, a YouTube reality show on our garden in the backyard, all organic gardening, and that's when I met Mendo Dope. That's when I essentially met them. And then I came across Big Cloud. So I came across, and I don't mean to be talking about me the whole time here, but
I'm learning about you.
Yeah. I came across Seed the Stoned, and he's a YouTube grower, and he was very knowledgeable, and he's well known, and he'll disappear and come back. He bounces out of the industry so much, and people don't know why, but he does. And he's alive on Discord, but I don't use any of that fancy stuff. I'm kind of like you. Like you said, you don't use Instagram, but I've expanded out a little bit more. But I don't get into all these other fancy things that other people are using. And long story short, I came across Mendo. And I sorry, I had a phone call coming in. I learned their soil techniques, and they taught me them, and I started using them in my garden.
That's awesome.
Hold on one second.
Yeah,
I was just letting somebody know. They keep calling me, and it's like, they're like, "Are you coming here?" And I'm like, "Coming where?" Like, I'm supposed to have a date tomorrow night, maybe.
That's awesome.
It is awesome, but it's not really like a date. It's more like we're just gonna smoke and.
Well, yeah, man.
Like a friend, not a romance date. Like
having some female company. Having some female company. That's
But it's strictly friends. But she keeps blowing up my phone and says, "You want to come over? You want to hang out?" And I'm like, I thought we were on tomorrow night, not tonight. Like, it's 10:30 here. Like,
maybe the date wrong, like you did on the court thing.
Yeah, not me. No, I'm right this time. I'm back. I try to stay organized now. Like I put everything in my phone because I'm not good at being organized at that stuff. Like I'm good at being on time most of the time, but I'm not good at remembering dates.
There's a date that you should try. Now I'm drawing a blank, but the Rick's golf outing that's coming up in May.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
golf though.
I know, but you don't have to golf. I think it would be a good networking opportunity for you
Yeah,
because all of the people that come to the event are going to be potential people you could have on your podcast, or at
right.
least people that you could talk with or meet or spread the
Sure.
word
Definitely.
about. You know what I mean? It'd be a good place for you to network. And um, there's a bigger group that's going to be there that does golf outings like nationwide.
I
They're
seen one of
they're
them the other day. Yeah, it was a
they're
cannabis
having
one.
it's like 517 golf, I believe it's called. They're
Okay.
hosting one around. It's either the weekend before or the weekend after Rick's. It's actually going to have Tommy Chong at it in Michigan. But Rick's
Really?
going to be. Yeah, I'm thinking about going just as a spectator. They're allowing spectators for like $10 a head. You can go there at 10 or 20. It's not. It's pretty cheap. But you can go as a spectator and just hang out all day, and you have a chance to possibly meet Tommy Chong. And John Daly is a famous golfer. He's going to be there too. But
Definitely.
the one Rick's having, there's a putt and puff, and I went to that last year with my dad and my brother and my dad's buddy. We had a great time, and we'll be going again this year. And
Okay.
I can promise you, it's a good place for you to promote your brand, and there's definitely people there that you should have on your show.
Definitely. I can guarantee that. You know.
There's a big dispensary in Niles called Greenstem, and they're leading the way in a lot of things. They're doing really well. Rick has a good relationship with them, and they are always are big, a big donators. They're in the golf outing. But the owner of that place is real interesting. I would love to see you do an episode with him. Like the owner of Greenstem. He also owns Sticky Mitten, which is they're making a extracts. They've also got their own brand of their flower that they're growing.
I know
Uh,
who Sticky Mid is because before we became organically blunt, we were known as Sticky Mitts Cannabis.
okay. Well,
And
Sticky Mitten, I don't know. That's probably something different. They're
well,
Sticky
well,
Mitten. This isn't that.
we came across each other. I think if it's the
Okay,
same guy
okay.
on Instagram because he was like, "Hey, your name's like mine," and I was like, "Hey, man, you thought of a name like mine." I'm like, "I thought I was the only one that thought of that," and he's like,
Well,
"No."
so chances are it's not this guy because I'm pretty sure this guy doesn't even do. He probably like pays people to do his social media
Okay,
stuff.
all right, sure,
He's yeah, but he's
yeah,
really involved. He's really involved. I'd love to see that. Same with Josie. If you haven't had Josie on your show yet,
I haven't. No,
she was the first minor, I believe, to get prescribed medical cannabis to get her
wow,
card in
that would be
Michigan.
awesome.
It may be in the country, but I know in Michigan.
Okay,
She's the one that put together the treasure map to raise money. She's her non. She has a non for profit. She's an
definitely.
advocate. She's going to be at the golf outing helping promote that. They were at Hashbash.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. I was talking before Hashbash to Adam. He's the guy who runs Hashbash,
yeah.
and
Adam Brooks.
he didn't want
Mr.
anything to do with the podcast or the media. He's like, that ain't my thing, man. He's like, that's not what this event's about. And I'm like, I understand that. I was like, I just wanted an interview with you,
Well,
man.
have you ever? Have you ever checked in with Medical Mondays podcast?
I've talked to the guys, but I haven't had a chance to actually watch
So
the show or listen.
you should sometime when you're in your car and you're watching your phone,
Yeah.
jump on watch them because they have a catalog that goes back like 6 or 7 years. I want to say
Wow.
every Monday,
Okay.
and they have all kinds of people. Like I've learned so much from watching their show because they have people on there, and then I get to learn a little more insight on these people, and then dig in. You know, people you find people that you connect with, and it's like okay, that's what's up. And then when I go to like at the Hash Bash Cup, for example, they were there, and it's just interesting getting to know these people and then being able to support them and then run into them and smoke with them or whatever.
Definitely, definitely. You know, and like I said, now when I get to Big Cloud this year, it's going to be a lot different than it was last year because I know a lot of you guys now, and it's like
Yeah, it'd be cool.
I was like I was like the scared schoolgirl in the corner
Well, that honest,
at a new
I'll be
school.
honest with you. That place was kind of a shock to me my first time when I went
Yeah,
there, and I've been around this shit all my life, and I
right.
still never seen anything like that. It's like, okay, well, this. I had to tell everybody that I knew that I thought would go and would appreciate it. I'm like, you got to
Yep.
go. In fact, my dad still hasn't been there yet. I've been trying to get him to go. I'm like, he's been to the golf outings, but he hasn't been to any of the farmers markets yet. You know,
It's
he has.
amazing. I love it there, dude. Like that's my escape from here. Like when I go down that way, it's like okay, I'm away from everything, no city life. Like I unwind. Like and
Right.
I that's what I liked about being there. You know, it's like I don't even know how to explain it. You know, I've done a lot of big events, and I get anxiety at a lot of the big ones. Like I did Electric Forest for 2 years
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
as a photographer, and
Okay, yeah,
I
that's
was
big
doing
time.
yeah, I was doing photos for you know, like string. There's a band called String Cheese Incident
Cream
and stuff
cheese. I
like
know. I'm a
yeah,
deadhead.
yeah, and I'd be on the catwalk. So there would be the stage, and then there would be a catwalk, and then there would be the crowd. Okay, so the stage would be up above you by about half your height, and then you'd be so you figure probably 4 foot above you. So you'd be at foot level with your camera, so that you're not in the way of the crowd. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
And then the crowd would be behind you, but they would be above you too. So they would be looking over you. The stage would be looking over you, but you would be kind of like in the middle, down in the gully, and you could aim up and get all the footage without getting in anybody's way. It was great,
Huh.
but you had everybody behind you screaming and throwing
Right.
shit and spitting and like,
Uh,
oh, it's terrible. I'll never
you
do it
got to have
again.
your rain jacket on with your hood up and shit. It's not even
Yeah,
raining
yeah,
out.
yeah, 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 exactly. And 50,000 people behind you screaming. You can't hear nothing. Like, and you're only allowed you're allowed on most big artists, you're allowed the first 3 songs of the set to
Hmm.
shoot, and that's it. And
Really?
some of them are even less than that. If it's a national act,
Hmm.
a lot of them won't let you pass the first minute and a half. Whatever you get
Hmm.
in that first minute and a half is what you got for the whole night, and they're not letting you back out there to get any more pictures. That's it.
And that's because they have their own contracted photographers,
Yep,
or
yep, yep. And you know they're not getting paid for it, so
right.
that's that. Yeah, like
So
I've
do you have footage from those days when you were doing
oh
that?
yeah, I'll have to share some with you. You know, I T Pain and the Nappy Boy dancers back in the day, Skillet, Non-Point, Disturbed,
Did you say
System of
T
a Down.
Pain?
T Pain, yeah, yep,
Okay, a buddy of mine just did some photography for T Pain just like a couple weeks ago, actually.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's funny.
yeah.
Yeah, I like
Sorry,
photography. In fact, I've been really telling my wife, it's like I'm such a documentary nerd. Like I love watching documentaries about everything, and it's like we go to a lot. We get out. We support the local arts here where we live. We got some
definitely,
friends that are amazing artists, and then I call them friends, but they're people that I've met within the last few years, and I've discovered them basically like on Facebook, and then go out and see them and support them, and then some of them we've actually become friends with. You know.
definitely, definitely. You
Um,
know, we got an event here that you might be interested in coming up. You know, it's called the Grand Rapids Art Prize. Um,
okay.
Google that.
Okay.
They turn the whole town into like an art exhibit for weeks, and
Nice.
some of the stuff you wouldn't imagine. Yeah, like some of it's technological, some of it's traditional, some of it's sculpture, some of it's painting, some of it's ice sculptures. You wouldn't even believe all the stuff they do.
In
And
Grand Rapids. Huh?
yep, yep. And they actually that started about 10 or 15 years ago from Dick DeVos. He's a millionaire and he owns the DeVos Center and a couple other things, and he owns the Children's Hospital here. So he owns the hospital, and
Yeah.
he just sold, not sold. He gave the event to the city, gave the event. So now it's a city event instead of personal. And they give away like $50,000 or $100,000 prize to first place.
Damn.
Like, yeah, like, and I've heard they did it like one year they did $1 million grand prize. I don't know all the details. I'm not an artist like that, but I get into it and it's really cool, and it's definitely something, you know, you guys might want to check out. You know, you guys
Yeah.
are only a couple hours away. I mean, so a day
But I
trip.
want to start doing documentaries. Like I want to start like taking film, like documenting things rather than just using phone and some pictures.
Yeah,
I want
yeah.
to step it up and get a nice camera
That's what I'm
and
doing now.
actually get a program on my own computer. I haven't had a computer in a few years,
Yep.
and I used to do a lot of. I used to like make, you know, little videos and shit.
What kind
edit
of
them.
phone do you have?
Just Sam. I use Android.
So
I
do
got
I.
just some.
But I've been learning smartphone filmmaking lately. That's what I've been getting into, and
Okay, nice.
there's a lot of stuff. I could show you some cool stuff, because honestly, your phone is probably one of the best cameras you can get nowadays, other than the DSLR that's great, like got telephoto and macro.
Well, the problem is I don't seem to have the discipline to take the time when it's just on my phone. But if I feel like if I had a laptop, I would be more likely to actually take the time and do the work. You know, it's a little bit easier to work on a laptop too or a computer than it is on a phone. But you can certainly do it all on a phone.
Right.
But I do keep taking these pictures, and then my phone fills up, and then I delete them all, and I lose all that. Just I don't care a whole lot because I'm moving forward all the time. But it's like, well, it would be cool to look back and see.
Yeah.
And since we're going to a lot of things that, you know, like historical events, for example, you know, it's like
Definitely.
we need to just be documenting things a little bit better.
Yep.
And I want to also make a point to start taking photos with people that I meet, you know, whether it's friends that I already have or whatever. When we meet up, taking that photo opportunity, and not as like fanboy out, but just because it actually, like, I like that. Like I like cousin Nikolai and different people that I see, and everywhere they go, they're getting pictures of people. It's like, yeah, I like that. I like that.
Definitely. You know, I just picked up a gimbal. I'm learning that. I'm getting ready to upgrade my audio because the microphone on the cell phones isn't good for audio, to be honest. And audio is like 80% of everything. So like if you sound good, you're going to hold a good attention. So I'm upgrading my audio. I'm upgrading lighting. I'm buying a rig for my phone. So when you guys see me walking around with these two big handles and microphone and all that connected to my phone at the next event, it's because I'm getting content and I'm learning to finally dial it in. You know, I'm doing pan movements. I'm creating vortexes. I'm creating follow movements. Everything's stabilized, even though I'm learning I need to slow it down because I press the joystick too fast and the thing moves too fast. It's all a learning experience. I never had any of this.
Yep. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it, you know.
Yep. So, you know, that being said, I got to ask one more question for you here. And that is, you know, if you could change the outlook on cannabis to one person in life and get them to want to smoke the plant, how would you go about persuading someone to proving that it's healthy? Like, what are some of your points? I just want to hear. I want to hear your spill.
So first of all, let me say this: I don't think that smoking cannabis is the best way to consume cannabis. I think that RSO is the best way to consume cannabis.
Definitely.
I think that if you've never done cannabis before, and I think that you need to do cannabis, that I'm going to try to get you to try RSO.
Sure, definitely.
Because that is a lot more healthy for you. It's got a lot more health benefits in every aspect, and it doesn't have the negative parts from the smoke, you know.
Sure, definitely.
And I would get them to watch a documentary, a story. I would introduce them to some people that I know that have never smoked cannabis, but now rely on RSO in order to prevent their seizures, to ease their pain, their helps with depression, anxiety, all those things, you know.
Definitely. Man.
I don't even like promoting smoking, to be honest with you.
Right. Yeah.
If you never smoked cannabis before, I'm not going to try to get you to smoke cannabis. Like,
right.
That's good for you. Good for you that you smoke. If you can figure it out how to do life without smoking cannabis, good for you.
Right.
You know? Personally, me, I'm not trying to do that, but
no,
I'm
right.
So it's probably because I have kids, okay? And my kids are going to be 18 here on April 14th. I have twins.
Wow.
Michael and Magnolia. I got a boy and a girl, and they're going to be 18 here on April 14th.
I like the name Magnolia. That's unique, dude. Like, you don't hear that one. That's creative, definitely. Yeah.
Well, I'm a deadhead, man, and Sugar Magnolia. That's one of my favorite Grateful Dead songs.
Yeah. Definitely. Oh yeah.
That's where the name came from.
That's awesome. Well, with that being said, I'm going to let you off here. We've been here an hour and a half, a little longer than normal, but that's okay. I'm not mad. We had a great conversation. You got to learn about me. I got to learn about you. So did everybody else.
It's been a pleasure.
And yeah, with that being said, we appreciate you coming on the Organically Blunt Show, and you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Organically Blunt Show, a cannabis lifestyle podcast that's raw, uncut, and unedited. Thanks for listening to the show. We would like to give thanks to this episode's partners: Grow Strong Industries, the mother brand of Gorilla Grow Tint, Kind LED, and Lotus Nutrients. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Seedsman Seeds, a trusted seed bank with over 20 years in the industry. Use coupon code Organically Blunt 10. Horticulture Lighting Group, HLG, real efficiency, real yields, and made in the USA. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Rain Science Grow Bags, one-of-a-kind mesh grow bags that eliminate problems and increase yields. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Growth Bags, the best curing solution to save terps. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Captain Redbeard Seeds, genetics that are loyal to the soil. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Humboldt Seed Company, Humboldt's original seed. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Fish Head Farms, the maker of fish shit, the most robust beneficial bacteria on the market. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Sofim Genetics, quality genetics at a fair price. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Green Wolf Genetics. These genetics come from a wolf pack that runs with quality and no BS. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Utopic Essential Nutrients. Discover the truth. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. Stream Gardening, world-leading mycorrhizal fungi. Dry tints, because we all need a place to dry that harvest. Use coupon code Organically Blunt. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And in the meantime, follow us on Instagram at Organically Blunt or on Social Club at Organically Blunt. You can reach us also via email at organicallyblunt@gmail.com. Organically Blunt can be found where you listen to podcasts such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, Anchor.fm, and Apple Podcasts. See you next time on the Organically Blunt Show.